Okay, hello, Maddie here. Where this energy came from, I have no idea. So, thoughts that led to where we are now. For those of you that have been watching my videos, I did 2 videos ago was series that burned me, a video ago was series that I love. Now, as is often the case, whenever I talk about a book, I then reread, re-listen, whatever said book. This has happened on many occasions. Not every single time, but lots of times this is what happens. And this is what happened this time. I have been re-listening to the Lunar Chronicles. Now, to be fair, I've only listened to Cinder so far, and I just started Scarlet today. But because I have lots of driving and stuff coming up, I anticipate that I will be through the entire series in the next week and a half. With that, I was like, oh, it would be fun to talk about. But it's like, I just did a video that included the Lunar Chronicles. It seems like I'm not quite lazy, but like uninspired to then go straight into a 4-part series talking about the 4 books of the Lunar Chronicles. So I don't want to do that. But if that interests you, let me know and I will gladly I will make those videos because they're great books. I would love to talk about them. But for a quick synopsis about them, go check out my series I loved along with the blog that goes along with it. But in the vein of the Lunar Chronicles, we're going to talk about one of the side books, and it is called Fairest. Now, I do not own a copy of this book. As I'm realizing as an adult, there are a lot of books that I love that I do not own because I got them from the library. This is the case. I got this book from the library when I was in college because I have very distinct memories of reading it on the bus, a story we will get back to in a little bit. Anyways, Fairest is part of the Lunar Chronicles, and it is the prequel to Cinder, and it goes into Queen Levana's backstory. Even if you just read the synopsis of the first book, you would know that Queen Levana is the villain of the series. She is the queen of the moon, of the Lunars, because humans went to the moon a long time ago, and now they're a whole separate species. They have special powers and things like that. And Queen Levana is the queen, but she got there through questionable means. Some of that being she had a sister who had a child who was the older sister, and then she had a child. Also, the person that she married was married to somebody else and they have a child. Not her and the person she married, but the person she married and their previous partner had a child, which is Winter, and that is Snow White. Shocking that Queen Levana is the evil queen from Snow White. Anyways, Fairest goes into her backstory. Something to know about Lunars. They have magical abilities, and it's what they call glamour. So they can make themselves appear in ways that they don't. They can make themselves taller, shorter, fatter, thinner, leaner, more muscular, have pink hair, blue hair, blonde hair, brown hair, different eye shapes, different eye color, fuller lip, whatever their ideal is. They can make themselves look any way they want. I think it's a little bit of a skill you have to hone, but they can have the ability to not just manipulate your mind for what they see in you, but see of situations, how you feel about situations. So part of Queen Levana's thing is that everybody hates her, but she's so powerful that when you're in her presence, you fall in love with her basically. You think, oh, she's so wonderful. She's the best ruler ever. All these uprises just fall apart when they get in her presence because she's able to just get rid of all those negative feelings. Further than that, they can make you do things that you wouldn't normally do, which is bad. So with Fairest, it's going through Queen Levana's backstory. It is her villain origin story. I don't want to say poor Queen Levana because she's a horrible human being. Well, horrible lunar, horrible character. But the thing is, she never really stood a chance. Her sister was a bully and super mean. And she had this she had a terrible upbringing where she was constantly put down, belittled. She never stood a chance of being a good person. Everyone around her, especially family, made it very clear that it's no, we're all evil people, so you're gonna be evil too. So that's how she grows up. And, she falls in love with, I think he's a guard. She falls in love with this guard. Now, because I haven't read this since college, some of the details are murky, but they don't change the story. From what I remember, her husband's first wife died under semi-suspicious circumstances. It wasn't this was obviously orchestrated, but it wasn't, this is obviously an accident or something. Or it might have just been childbirth. I think it was. I think she died in childbirth with Winter. Am I going to remember? No, I don't know. Why am I saying things like I know that as a fact? I don't. First wife dies, and he is just so devastated. He has no desire to marry. He is not in love with Levana by any stretch of the imagination, but she uses those Jedi mind tricks. Honestly, that's a pretty good comparison. These are not the droids you're looking for. It's like that, only she has to do even less because it's just all things she just has to think it and feel it and make it be. And so they get together and they get married, and it is very much against his will. But whenever they're together, he thinks it's his will, but literally every time they're apart, it's against his will. And he's a guard, and he still is a guard. He doesn't give up his job. and he basically just works as much as he possibly can. He does not want to be around her because she's a horrible human being. Some of the things she does are so awful and so repulsive, and I would say legitimately triggering. I don't want to give anything away, but this is a book to read with caution. This is one of the few books that I will recommend that it's not a happy book. It is not a happy book. If you are looking for and they all lived happily ever after, like most of my books, this is not it. This is not the book for you. But I want to talk about it because it's part of the Lunar Chronicles, but I also want to add some difference into the books that I read, you know? But everything I recommend has these happily ever afters with so few exceptions. And this is one of those exceptions because there is no happy gooiness in this book at all. Literally zero. But it is such a compelling book. Now, it is not nearly as compelling of a book if you have not read the Lunar Chronicles. Even just getting through Cinder. But really, you need to know Queen Levana better as a character to genuinely appreciate her villain origin story. I don't know how it would be reading the villain origin story first before the series, if that might like add to her character or like might add to your understanding of her character. But personally, I think I actually might have read it before Winter because I was waiting on Winter to come out. Of Lunar Chronicles, there are 4 books. Fairest is categorized as 3.5, meaning it probably came out between Cress and Winter. So I probably read Fairest before I read Winter because that is the order they were released, and I so wanted to be in that world that I was like, I don't even care if this is a villain origin story. I just want to be in this world. I don't care what I'm reading. It's also a super thin book. It's like 200 pages, something like that. It is a novella. It is not a full novel. But kind of going back to what I was saying, some of it can be triggering. Going back to my bus story. So I remember very distinctly reading this book on the bus, and I literally jaw dropped, like closed the book, had to like put it down and was like struck. Like it wasn't just like okay, we're internally like freaking out. It was like for like multiple minutes. And I was like, I kind of feel like I'm going to throw up because it was so repulsive what she made them do. It's so horrible and so in line with her character. And this book is so awful and so good because you understand the depths of evilness that is Queen Levana. If you're at all interested in the Lunar Chronicles and can stomach a little bit of awfulness, I totally recommend this book. It is deeply fascinating, incredibly well written, and it helps you understand the villain in like crazy ways. You don't sympathize with her. You definitely don't look at her and go, oh, you've got childhood trauma. It's like, no, you've got childhood trauma, and also like you're a horrible human being. You've done horrible things. You know, you are horrible things. You encapsulate everything evil and selfish and awful in the world. You don't sympathize with her and go, oh, poor baby. You go, oh, you're terrifying. You've done even more worse stuff than we ever even knew. Because, you know, you find out some stuff about her sister and her niece. You learn like all of that really early on. But that stuff we knew because it is very much part of the Lunar Chronicles lore. You got to understand what happened with her sister and her niece. Y'all need to read these books. I don't like having to be vague. It's not my cup of tea. It's not who I am as a person. It's not how I talk about books. I'm not a vague person when I talk about my books. I'm like, let's go into every single detail about everything so that you read the book with me. Maybe I'll like specifically every once in a while do like a series of books and be like, no, we're going into every detail of this book. So if you don't want spoilers, don't read this book. But if you don't want to read this book, but you want to know what's happening, watch this video. Maybe we'll do that because like just sometimes I just want to say all the things and I can't. Anyways, Queen Levana is horrible. Her backstory is, like I said, it is so fascinating. It is so interesting, so well written. The emotions you will feel will run deep. You will be horrified at what she does. Well, really what she's capable of. It shows you what she's capable of. And that is the point that I want to make. Queen Levana is evil. Okay, great. There are lots of evil people out there. But this book shows you just how far she's willing to go to get what she wants. And it's terrifying and so interesting. It's so deeply interesting. If you're reading the Lunar Chronicles or going to read the Lunar Chronicles, I recommend adding this in because this is when I read it. This is when it was published. I would say read it after Cress, before Winter. I think where it falls in the published lineup, I think that is a really good place to put it because at that point, you know Queen Levana quite a bit and you know you have a good idea of the main evil things she's done, but you can understand more of her motivations going into Winter, which is the last book, and like the craziest stuff happens in that book, especially with Queen Levana. So you can go into that book with just a much deeper understanding of this character, and you can understand a little bit more about like why she's doing what she's doing, when she does it, and like how she does it. So if you're gonna read Lunar Chronicles, totally recommend it. Like I said, this is not a Maddie guaranteed book. It is so not. It is not in any way, shape, or form a Maddie guaranteed book. It does not have a happy ending. Nothing happy happens the entire book. I cannot think of a single happy thing that happens, except for maybe the guard that she marries, maybe when him and his wife have a child. That's like the only happy thing that happens. And it's not really related to Queen Levana at all. It's just a thing that happens on the side that ends up getting integrated into her story. And then she's a horrible stepmother. Fairest by Marissa Meyer. Part of Lunar Chronicles, number 3.5, Between Cress and Winter. Highly recommend. It is not Maddie guaranteed. No happy ending, but I still recommend it. It's a great book. It's super interesting, and you should read it. Oh yeah, like it, comment, subscribe. Those things are super duper fun. But I was gonna say, if you're interested in me doing something like taking the series that I love and doing individual videos for those books in that series, let me know, because I can do that. If I do things like Lunar Chronicles, that's 2 months of video. So it's like, do you really want to spend 2 months of video on one series, or is that going to get boring and I'm going to lose people along the way? Or is that a good amount of time, because then you can have 2 weeks to read each book? I don't know. I'd really like to know your thoughts on that. If that's something y'all would be interested in, or if I should just kind of keep up the format that I have, that it's where I just talk about the book that I just feel like talking about that week. That's what happened. I'm like, how am I feeling this week? That's how we pick what we talk about each week, which is just how I do everything in life. But comment down below with your thought on something like that. But also your thoughts on a non-Maddie guaranteed book. How do you feel about that? And 1, if you read it. 2, if you've already read it. I so want to know your thoughts. And here is the specific thing I am curious about. If you know me, watch my videos, whatever, and so you are very much used to the happily ever after, how do you feel about having a book suggestion that does not fall in line with the typical Maddie suggestion? How do we feel about that? Do we hate it? Do we love it? I have no idea. Y'all have to let me know. So let me know how you feel about this video. Let me know how you feel about doing series. Let me know how you feel about just life. And how's your summer going? Are we doing okay? Are we drinking enough water? I have not been drinking enough water, and it is so hot and humid. So go drink some water. It's probably good for you. Anyways, hope y'all enjoyed this video. It was all over the place. My energy is like super not a normal Tuesday energy, but you know, this is what you get. And when Maddie edits this in like a week, she's gonna be like, what were you doing? What were you thinking? What were you talking about? Anyways, it's gonna make for an interesting experience for everybody. So with all of that, I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you have a great night, great week, great weekend, great month, great year. I hope you have all the greats, because you're truly worthy and deserving of them. So until next time, 再见. Bye. Yes, I got bangs. I got them like 2 weeks ago, something like that. But we've got bangs now, and they fall on my face, but they look cutest when they fall on my face, so I just don't know what to do about them. Yeah, I got bangs. That is a thing that happened. We're not ignoring it. Oh, and so the thingy was breaking, and I hated that it was just a command hook on the wall, but I didn't want to take it down just in case we decided we wanted to put something else there later. So I had this little sign. It's teeny tiny, and it is a sign that I have that is from Captiva, which is literally heaven on earth. And it says, toes in sand, nose in book, life is sweet. And my younger sister, my only younger sister, she wrote, Dear Maddie, only 2 more days until we get to see each other. Until then, here is a little gift to get you through, hugs and kisses. Which I just thought was really sweet. I have no idea when she gave that to me. I don't remember. It's gonna hang there until I find something else to put there. Maddie, you be chaotic. Okay, bye.